Hi, everybody, and welcome to Alicia Dianne Art. And I'm so glad you guys are here. Today, we're going to be doing animal drawing, so this is really exciting. I just finished a zoo drawing workshop yesterday. So, if you are in the Los Angeles area, I am at LA Zoo every Monday from 10 to 12. Actually, sometimes it takes a little while to get from the gate to our first stop, which is the flamingos. So, usually it starts about 10:15, but if you get there at 10, you'll be at the flamingos in time. So if you guys want to come to that, then you can do that. And so I'm going to go into our session for the day, which is going to be drawing some African gray parrots, which is going to be really fun because tomorrow we're going to be doing character designs from these drawings, and these are going to be really fun. So I wanted to get in a little bit of practice sketching with the real thing, and then we're going to move on to doing some character designs, and that's going to be really exciting too. So hope you guys enjoy. And right now what I'm going to do is switch into our internet viewing windows. I'm switching over to Chrome, and right here I have Pinterest where I'm going to be using some reference images. And so I'm going to pull some of these into my Photoshop. I can, if it will allow me to. Okay, it's letting me. That's a good thing. That's a video. That's what I'm looking for. Oops. So I'm just going to be taking in a couple of images. We're not going to be able to do too many today, but we should be able to get a good start going, so that we will get some good animal drawing practice for today. And actually, I'm actually interested in getting one of these guys. I've been thinking about what it might be like to get a parrot. I've never owned a parrot before. I don't know what that experience is like, but I'm thinking about it. Maybe that will be something that will be on the list in the coming years. Oh, look, it's a baby one. That's so cute. So we're gonna do some of these. So what I'll do right now is I will take, I'll take 10. I'll take 10 images. I'm not sure how many I've gotten so far, but it's the second one also. It's got a little jacket. That's cool. And I will start here. And so let's switch over back to the Photoshop window. You might see me here just a second. So we're going to switch to Photoshop. And we're going to get started with some images here. So what I'm going to do now is move them over a little bit so you can see better what's happening. I'm going to drag this to fit my screen. And I wonder if you guys saw my little movie that I made. It's not really a movie. It's actually part of an animated series that I'm creating, which is, it's kind of was pretty scary for me because I don't know like how people are going to receive it. I think it's kind of weird, but at the same time, it's like, hey, I'm just going to have to be me, whether people like it or people don't like it. I'm just going to have to be myself. And that's one of the things that I say to you guys every day is to be yourself. So kind of example am I if I'm not being myself? So I wanted to just take that chance and just run with it and play around with it. So my goal, I'm going to say it out loud so that I'm more likely to accomplish it, which something you could use if you tell people your goal, you're much more likely to accomplish it, is to create one episode every month. And it may be more, and that's okay, but at least 12 episodes this year of Good Girl Princess. And actually, if I'm gonna have to rewatch some of the videos I posted because I've been saying I'm gonna post things and I have to remember to actually put the proper link in the description box. So I will add the link in the description box. I'm gonna say that. And so you guys, if you haven't seen a new little short film, which is a stop motion episode for a mini series that I'm creating, totally independently, totally just by myself. Having some help with my husband, actually, who's doing the voices, but all the writing and editing and the shooting of the stop motion is actually done by yours truly. And so it's a little bit of a passion project, something comedy that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And so I'm actually doing it. And so if you guys are interested, you can take a look at that after we get done drawing here. And let's go ahead. And there was something I needed. Whoa, what happened? Oh, I wanted to get the timer, so just a second. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set the timer, and we're going to do each pose for 2 minutes. And so hopefully that will give us enough time. This animal drawing series, it's not as intense as the figure drawing, but figure drawing is an hour set every week. With animal drawing, we might do 30 minutes, we might do an hour, we might do 2 hours. It's a little bit more loose, a little bit more less constricted in that way. So here we go, and I'm going to start our first drawing pose. Should I start backwards or start? Yeah. I think let's start from the top. No, actually, I'm going to start from this side. Okay, so we're going to start from this side, and we're going to start with 2 minutes, so starting right now. And actually, one of the things I want to talk to you guys about today was creating content, or creating content. That was one of the big things that I had in mind to talk to you guys, and what that's like. For me, it's sort of an interesting experience because it's a new thing for me. I've actually been doing it incredibly more since I've actually moved to Los Angeles. I made the short film that you've probably seen by now is The Magic Closet, which I released last March. And I made the very first episode for The Good Girl Princess. I believe it was in late 2016. And I just wasn't sure if I wanted to continue with it or not. But now that I've thought about it and had some time to experiment and do some other things like painting and doing a lot of realism and things like that, I decided I really, really miss doing comedy, and I wanted to have some more comedy in my sort of portfolio, I guess you could say, in my sort of that's not even the word I'm looking for, just my repertoire, I guess. I wanted to just sort of feel that sort of a vibe again, because I feel like it's really fulfilling for me to do comedy stuff, and I really enjoy the process of it. I enjoy the process of doing of life drawing and learning how to get better as a creative artist, but I feel like it's only a piece of the puzzle. It's only a part of what I'm doing, and I felt like for a while that was kind of took up so much of everything that I was doing. I wanted it to be so much both. So, okay, so that is our first pose of the name. Let's go ahead and start with the second one. So we're going to do another one, and this one is going to be for the same amount of time. Maybe I'll take my pencil size down a little bit. And I'll take it to a 10, and I will change my color with darker violet. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. 2 minutes. And so I'm just going to continue. And one thing I noticed with birds is like their flow of their bodies kind of aligns a lot with their head. And it's just one thing to kind of pick up and notice when you're drawing with birds. Birds can be actually really, really fun to draw. Some people might think they're kind of boring or flat, but birds can make some of the most interesting characters, I think, that you can find. Because they might be like simplified in their body, but it kind of gives you a lot of freedom to explore. And actually, they're pretty complicated when you think about it. They do their wings. Their little wings are like actually work like hands and arms, and they work together. And I think it's so cool just how they're sort of built. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in because birds are really cool to draw, I think. But one of the things I was talking, but what I want to get back to, my main point talking today was really about the creating content, which I'm not sure if any of you watching might be making your own content and what that might be like for you. But if you're having an experience or you're thinking about making your own content, that would be a great thing to mention in the comments. Let me know what that might be like for you, if you started already or if you haven't started yet, like what it is that might be kind of inhibiting you. Because I know that I was feeling pretty inhibited as far as making my own content. And one of the biggest reasons I think I probably felt inhibited by it was because it was really honest. Not to say that anything else I do is not honest, but I feel like a lot of what I've been doing has been, as far as doing like more realistic stuff, has been more safe. And yeah, that's our timer. So we're gonna move on to the next one. And I don't want to necessarily just be safe, but I think it's a good idea to just be really honest when you make stuff. And like for me, like making comedy is one of those things that really feels like kind of comedy that I make, and it's really it's odd. I mean, anybody looking at it would say that's kind of weird. You know, you're doing stop motion with dolls. It's kind of strange and it's like kind of weird, sort of a sense of humor. But I feel like it's really me, and if you get it, then I feel like so great. But if you don't get it, I feel like oh no, like maybe they won't understand me. So I'm gonna start this timer, or maybe they won't like me if I make this stuff and it's really they think, oh well, this is like really maybe not professional or like some like those are the types of like fears and things that were holding me back. Like maybe it doesn't look professional enough or it doesn't look like polished enough, because I'm working on zero budget, just me working with a web camera and After Effects, making my little signs or whatever in Photoshop, like really, really basic stuff. But I feel like the ideas are like something that I want to pursue more and I want to like explore more, definitely. And it's kind of nerve wracking. And now I'm not sure, like, okay, well, what do I make the next episode about? What am I supposed to, what's relatable? And I want to make it relatable, but at the same time, I want to make it like, I don't want to just make something that I feel like is going to be relatable. I want it to be really like a conversation about my own fears and my own insecurities and my own thoughts. And that's really what the stop motion is about. It's about my own fears and my own thoughts and my own weird things that I think about. So I'm like I really need to explore, what it is what are my thoughts? That might seem like a weird question, but I mean, how often do we ask ourselves, like, what are our thoughts? Like, I know I have a lot of stress. So what am I stressing about? Maybe that's something I can just talk about and sort of make fun of in my own little shorts. So that's sort of like the conversation that I'm having with myself now, and it might be a conversation that you're having if you're creating your own content or thinking about creating your own content. And so I'm going to move on to this next pose. And so this one is also 2 minutes. There's so much to think about. But I want it to be like, I want it to still, I don't ever want it to not be fun, which I know that's kind of like, sort of like an oxymoron. I mean, if you're working, there's always going to be parts of it that are fun and parts of it that are not that fun. And that could be, even in coming up with the idea and following through with the idea, even that, stuff like that could be like, part of part of the difficulty, because there's no way that the entire process is just going to be easy or just going to be fun. It has to be at least a little bit painful if you're doing something that's, you know, productive, I would think. And most of the process for me, like with making the shorts that I've made so far, most of it is really, you know, easy. It's a lot of work. It took me 12 hours about to do that 2-minute short. I mean, when you consider the timing and the editing and timing all of the sound, and it's not just as simple as it looks. It's not just putting a doll in front of the camera and it just does its thing. It's the writing of the script, doing a couple of takes, finding the right sound effects. I mean, it's a lot of work that actually goes into it, making sure that your sound effects, are royalty free and that the music you use is royalty free and things like that. Those are all the things that you have to think of, when you want to make something that's original. So those are all things that were going through my mind, and the things that will continue to go through my mind in making some content. Okay, so this is our 5th pose. So we're going to draw him out. Let's start. It's really cute. And he looks a lot like, I don't know, it was a blue macaw, I think, that they used for the parrot and Leo. But parrots are really interesting looking birds, I think. Yeah, it was like a blue. I remember it was definitely blue. But I believe a species called a blue macaw. And this bird here is the African parrot. But going back to content creation, one of the things that I've learned about making your own content is when you get an idea, you have to write it down right away. You have to write it down right away, because if you don't write it down, you will forget. You will think in your mind, and your mind will try to tell you, oh, that's so, simple. I'll remember that. Or I'll remember, who I want to play that. Or I'll remember how I want that voice. And that's another thing. If you come up with a character voice, record it quickly. Like, you'll forget it in a second, believe me. You'll forget how you did that voice. You will forget how it sounds. You have to get it recorded. If you have the voice, if you have the concept, get it down, write it down on paper, someplace where you will remember where it is. That's super important. I've written down a lot of things when I had like multiple books and stuff like that I was taking notes in, and I know that I've written things in places where I don't know exactly where they are, and that's when you kind of just stumble on things like years later and you're like, oh, I remember that. So keep it someplace where you'll remember it and you'll see it often, and just make sure that you write down your ideas. That's the biggest thing. So huge. It's so huge. We're going to do a couple more of these poses, and I'm going to start the 2-minute pose right now. And actually, after this, why having such a brief session today is actually because I'm going to be going to my son's karate practice. So that's another thing. And if you're a parent, then you know too, it's especially it isn't good. It's like a bigger kid or a little kid, because if you have a baby, you have to watch over them like all the time. You don't have a break. I remember when my son was a baby, and like I went actually when I was pregnant to GameStop, and I was like, I'm going to be home for a long time. I might as well get like a game to play, in case I get bored. Not realizing that you never can get bored when you have a baby, because you are up on your feet 24 hours a day. I never got to play that game that I bought because I didn't have any. And when you have a little baby, you don't have any time at all. There's a little couple minutes that you might have to breathe. All you want to do is sleep.
It's exhausting. It really is when they're tiny like that. I just remember like it was really hard. And then when they get older, they have things like, soccer practice or dance practice or picking them up, taking them to their friends or to another kid's birthday party and stuff. It's always like there's always something when you have kids. So, being a parent and, trying to be an independent artist, it just adds to the complexity, I will say. It just never gets to a point where it's like easy ever. Maybe one day it gets easy. I'm sure one day it all gets easier. One day when somebody discovers your content and they love it and they pay you $500,000 for it, then that it can happen. You never know, it can happen. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to this. And also, one thing that I keep hearing, and I'll start the timer so we can draw while we talk. Okay. One thing I keep hearing is to have multiple ideas going. Don't just have like the one baby. And I know we were kind of talking about babies a second ago, but don't just have the one baby. Have multiple ideas like in your back pocket. You don't have to share them with anybody right away. You don't have to work on all of them at the same time, but have multiple ideas. And when you get more ideas, um, write them down because you will forget what it was. You'll forget the details. You'll forget a lot of things about it. So make sure that you just keep multiple ideas, write them down. Any like ideas you have, any specifics that sort of come into your mind, and you'll start to get specifics of your idea. Like if you have an idea for a series, you'll start to get ideas for different characters, and you'll start to get ideas for episodes, and those are the specifics. And you want to keep track of those too, so write those down too and keep track of those in a similar area so that you can be able to see those too. It's all really important. It might sound like this is a lot of information, but I think it's important that we talk about these kind of things, especially within our small art industry, and especially in specifics of cartooning, animation, illustration. All of those are what I consider to be part of the cartooning field. And so it's really important that even if you're in gaming too, that's still also part of cartooning also. So you just want to keep a note of your ideas that you get. And you might need to get or you might want to get, not need to, but you might want to get like a little notebook just for keeping your creative ideas. And you might want to get like a specific, or like a calendar, like a wall calendar. And that's one of my favorite places to write down my goals and my daily goals and things like that. It's a wall calendar. But what I use for like my concepts and things like that is I use the notes in the iPhone. And if you have an iPhone, you can use notes. And I think the Samsung phones have at least something similar also. So you have options there. So I'm going to go ahead and start this timer. So I'm going to start for 2 minutes. I'm just going to sketch them out. But what else can I kind of get into with creating your own content? I'm going to type this bird to make sure I'm drawing him somewhat moderately realistically because I'm wanting to already caricaturize him a little bit, feeling a little bit more comfortable with this species, and that makes me want to kind of make a caricature of him. But I will hold out until tomorrow when we do our cartooning session with the cricket. And these are great too. I love these birds. But with creating content, Another thing is to think about the things in your life that what else? How else can you like brainstorm? And that's one thing. If you have ways that you brainstorm to like think of ideas, even after you already have your your main idea, you can start to think of things that you can use for different episodes. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, like trying to think of episode content. Okay, I have my series idea and I think it's a really good idea and I'm enjoying it. And I kind of have a basis for where I want to start with it. So how do I really get into the specifics of what I want to make my episode about? And one of the things that I read actually, it was a book about creating creating children's series that sell. I forgot what that was called, by Rita. Gosh, I think I have her card here too. Where's she from? Oh dang! Sorry, I dropped the tripod. Rita something. She's actually the founder of Women in Animation, so you can probably Google her. And I don't see her card right here right now, but it's a look her up. I don't remember her last name, but her name is Rita, and she's the founder of the Women in Animation. And you should look her up because her book, which is on creating children's book series that sell, it's an ebook. It's free, and it had some really awesome information in there. I'm gonna start the timer so we can start drawing. But it had some really neat information in there, and one of the things that she said, because she pitches to television shows all the time, and she's actually the person who discovered um, that little goth cartoon. What it's called? Gosh, I can't remember the name of it now either. I don't know. It was a little goth character, looked like a doll. She actually met the doll builder at like a cartoon convention. I don't know which one, but she met the doll creator and said, "Hey, this would make an awesome TV series." And she began working with the artist, and then it became a TV series. And I don't think it got published in United States, but it did make it to Netflix. And it might something off. Gosh, what's the name of it? I don't remember. But anyway, her book, the free ebook, is really cool. And one of the things she was saying, like I was going on before I started talking more about others, like the details, was that in the studios they just have like a list of like um, situations to put a character in that kind of work for any children's series, like going camping or a field trip or like a sleepover. There were like all these scenarios that you can use that were relatable for kids, and it was like really cool. And I know they must use the same sort of a formula for like adult shows. I mean, it has to be because I mean, it's not even because it's not even the scenario that makes the show original. It's how your character reacts to the scenario. That's what is really going to make the difference with the show. So you'll see like the same scenarios over and over, just being reacted by different characters in different cities and different environments. And so that's one of the things to think of too, is kind of observing what's already going on in television and in animation to kind of brainstorm ideas for your own animation. And so that's what I'm probably going to have to start doing, is taking notes on what I'm seeing in the content today. That's something to think about. And this is our final pose, and so we're going to go ahead and start this one, and I'll talk for a few minutes after that. But I'm going to go ahead and start this one. And that's one of the things to think about, though. What is happening? My little, I'm sorry, I'm saying so many times today. You probably didn't even notice too until I said it. Never say your mistakes out loud. But there you go. one of the things that I wanted to like sort of brainstorm was the content that's sort of in to today. My show is really the Good Girl Princess show. It's not a children's show. It's actually like a young adult show, which is not necessarily a popular genre, but I wanted it to be relatable, and I wanted it to be something that you, as an artist, or someone that you're friends with too, could look at and think that was funny, that was cool. And I do like to make content for children too, but right now the series that I want to work on is for young adult, and it's a web series, and I think that the internet is a good place to start a genre like that. Might not work on like Nickelodeon, but I think it works for the internet, and maybe for something like an Adult Swim. But you never know. You never know. But what are the types of content that you see for young adults lately? I mean, Game of Thrones, right? It's like, of course, it's taking place in like, you know, the sort of a middle age type era, and it's like, all of this mystique and sort of fantasy science fiction type of stuff with the dragons and, the warlocks kind of it, that sort of a deal. But at the same time, what's happening? It's really like a family battle. It's really like a battle for power, which could be, placed anywhere. And I think there's a lot of shows that deal with struggle of power and things like that. You could put that in with a totally different cast of characters, and it's an entirely different show. But you get, same sort of intrigue because it's a relatable topic. It's relatable because everybody sort of everyone wants to feel powerful in one way or another. We all want to feel important, and what is importance but power in a sense, you know, love. Everyone wants to feel like they're important. Everyone wants to feel loved, and I think that's one of the reasons why Game of Thrones is so um, successful, because it's really relatable in that sense, and people can really relate to the characters because they're human. I mean, even though like not all the characters are human, you have the dragon queen and all that, but their characters are still human at heart, and that makes it really relatable. I think that's why Hercules is a hero and not Zeus per se, because the character has to be human in order to be, you know, in order to really be likable, in order to really to be relatable. You have to have a character that we all relate to, and that's why you kind of have to make them human, even if they're not. You have to make them human. That's what makes them lovable and relatable and believable. And I mean, it's true in many aspects of life. See that I will see that much. It's very true in many aspects of life. And I don't know what you guys are going to do with the rest of your day. As I told you before, am going to go and watch my son play karate. Not play karate, I'm sorry, that's like derogatory. I didn't even say it like that. I'm going to go watch my son practice karate, and I'll probably do some sketching while I'm there. And then I don't know, maybe I'll just sort of chill out. Who knows? But I hope you guys are maybe getting some ideas for some content that you want to maybe make. Maybe you're starting to get some ideas for some content that you want to mess around with. Maybe you had an idea already that you kind of put on the back burner. maybe it's time to pick it back up and say, hey, that was a really good idea. And maybe not everybody will watch it, which is what I had to go through with Girl Princess. It's just accepting that, not everybody's going to want to watch it, but somebody will. Maybe it will inspire someone else to do their own content that they were second guessing, that they were scared to put out. Maybe this will inspire them. And I think that's what kind of pushes me to keep going and to take chances with my artwork. Because if you're not taking chances, then what? Then like you're not gonna get anywhere if you don't take a chance. I mean, you might not get that far if you do take the chance, but you're like dooming yourself to get nowhere if you don't even want to at least try it out. I think that's worthwhile. And with that, I don't want to say too much. It's always good to end a little bit too soon than to end a little bit too late. And so I will leave you with those thoughts. And I hope that you really consider being able to put yourself out there, put yourself on the line, take chances with your work, and just keep making stuff. Just keep making stuff. And so I'm going to switch over here and say goodbye. Well, not goodbye. That's so dramatic. Not goodbye. It's already dark over here. My goodness. Not goodbye. I'm just going to see you guys tomorrow. And I will be back with more content for you. So keep making content and dream big. I added that to my little montage. Dream big, live balanced, be grateful, and be yourself. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.